How are you guys doing? Looks like we got a stream going on. Welcome. Thank you for the 3 people who were waiting for the stream to start. Thank you, Raphael, for dropping a question in the chat to get us started before I even got here. I'm going to go ahead and knock out this quick disclaimer. You guys let me know how my audio is, how my video is, how my connection is, yada, yada, yada. That being said, forgot what is the things that I don't do. Oh yeah, I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your diet or any other aspects of your lifestyle, something you should check with a medical professional with before enacting in your own life. Furthermore, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is intended as a recommendation for investment. Thirdly, I'm also a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is a mission of guilt. And fourthly, but certainly not leastly, all opinions are my own and is in no way affiliated with whatever platform that you are viewing this on. That being said, let's go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to skip the greetings today because we got a question out the gate and we're going to just get to it. But thank you guys for joining. Raphael says, how to not be utterly terrified and depressed by the idea of reincarnating over and over and over again. It's a good question. It's a good question. Well, how to not be terrified and depressed about the idea of reincarnating over and over and over again. Well, one interesting part about reincarnation is that until the day until the lifetime in which you are most likely going to finally free yourself from that cycle of reincarnation, you're not going to remember all the other lives. You're going to begin anew. And so the best way to not be depressed, be terrified if you like, though fear is a low vibrational thing, which is probably not going to necessarily help your process. But what will help your process is to live with absolute and total virtue. Try to embody virtue. Release all this thoughts of, right and wrong and good and evil and this and that, right? And embody virtue. There's been a lot of things written about spirituality. There's been a lot of things written about religion. There's been a lot of things written in general, right? There's a lot of things said. A lot of people have opinions, right? But you can really all boil it down to virtue. Virtue is really the only thing that matters in the grand scheme of karma, right? Do less. Karma is action. You know what I'm saying? It's not about your intention. Most people don't like that. Most people think, oh, if I act with good intentions, then I should, get something good in return. But the reality is that the path to hell was paved in good intentions, right? Hey, Sam, no more. Stop it. The path to hell was paved in good intentions, right? So everything is mean reverting in this world. So you need to act with virtue, not with your own version and perception of what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, this, that, and the other. Do less. Just embody virtue. Basically all spiritual teachings, religions and whatnot can be boiled down to, the 7 sins and the 7 virtues. Now, I don't really like the word sin, but what the 7 sins are symptoms of non-virtue. You know what I'm saying? This all correlate with the chakras and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? If you have a disruption in a chakra, it's going to manifest in a sinful way, right? As one of the sins, right? Now, on the other side, you have 7 virtues, right? And there's obviously many more than 7 virtues, but less is more, okay? So let's go with the most important ones that align with the chakras. And if you want to raise your energy to the point that you can gain spiritual insight, which is something that you can never truly comprehend or grasp or learn through reading or a teacher, listening to my streams, or anything that you can do in life. Okay, the only way you can truly realize the truth is through your own experience. And the only way that you can actually have your own experience is by embodying virtue. You know what I'm saying? The sins is not necessarily such a big thing to think about, other than it indicates where you are lacking virtue. You know what I'm saying? And so knowing that karma is absolute, that reincarnation does indeed happen, and furthermore, that understanding that the culmination of all that is actually far more terrifying than your own singular soul reincarnating through a series of lives, you don't really need to be terrified or depressed or scared, because what you're moving towards, which is liberation from all that. Sam, come here. Sam! Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Hi, Papa. How are you? Would you like to say hello? Come on, you can say hi. Hi. Sorry, guys. A random dog has appeared, and I just love dogs, so I have to give this dog some love. Hello. Hello, random dog. Never seen this dog before, but it's here nonetheless. So Sam is not super excited about the visitor. Sorry, you guys. I couldn't figure out what he was freaking on about. Hello, Papa. Are you a boy or a girl? Are you a girl? You look like a girl. Yes, you're a pretty girl. Okay, so it's fun. But yes, that being said is sorry guys, I found a golden retriever. I don't know what to do. I lost my train of thought here. Should I say a golden retriever found me? But yes, the truth is, if you really want to be terrified about something, let me tell you the most terrifying thing of all, right? Is that you know, when you do finally realize the self, you know, eventually you will realize that it's not just your own chain of lives that you're going to have to experience, but eventually you will experience every life of every person and everything that ever existed in this entire universe, right? And so, and that's going to be even worse than your own karma, right? So realize that you're actually being very gentle to yourself right now with this string of lives that you're having, right? And that because you cannot escape it, you can't avoid it, and that the culmination of all of it is inherently going to include not only your own karma, but the karma of everybody on this entire planet, then you can just move forward without fear. You can move forward with virtue. You can release the idea of even wanting to escape this world. You know what I'm saying? You wanting to get out of it isn't going to help you get away from it. You know what I'm saying? You just have to do the absolute best that you can do. And the best that you can do is to do as little as possible. To stop trying to meddle in things, stop trying to manipulate things, stop trying to think that your way, your thoughts are somehow better than nature. Everything is self-balancing. Everything is mean reverting. The more you push, the more you get pushed back. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing you can do. Just let it go. That's all you do. Just let it go. Accept that, you know what I'm saying, you are everything. You're not just you. You're not just your string of lives. You're you, you're me, you're this dog, you're this tree, you're this ground, the rocks, the air. It's all you. So what you're moving towards is oneness of all of that. The experience of knowing all things, right? And then that eventually dissolves into nothingness, right? It's all expanding and contracting, you know? So there's no really reason to think about it. No really reason to care. Just try to live virtuously, you know? And beyond that, just, yeah, enjoy the show. It's fucking beautiful. You know what I'm saying? We didn't come up with all this, you know what I mean? Okay, maybe it's like, you know, it's got some dark undertones, but you know, eventually it, yeah. Anyways, let me go back to the chat 1 second. It's so cool. I got a dog. I got a new dog. What was this? I found this dog. You see what I'm saying? Just let things come to you. You know what I'm saying? I like golden retrievers. Did I go out and seek a golden retriever? No, but yet a golden retriever is here joining me on stream. Sorry. You know what I mean? You just attract what you want in life. You know what I'm saying? There's an old saying that if you chase a butterfly, it flies away. Just like if you chase liberation, it will evade you. You know what I'm saying? But if you tend your garden, you will attract many butterflies, right? So, you know, just like, would this golden retriever be sitting with me if I seemed like a, you know, negative being, or if I was chasing after it, would it run away from me? Possibly, but nonetheless, here we are. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the chat, you guys. That was a good, thank you for kicking it off, Raphael. Let's see. Chirag Jadija says, how to work on depression by the spiritual path, though you can't control emotion after trying everything. I mean, well, you know, the root of all suffering is desire. I think this is well documented, right? So you have to ask yourself, like, what is it that you desire that is causing you so much suffering? Why are you perceiving some kind of lack in your life? You know, he who is content already has everything that he needs, right? So, you know, I mean, for me personally, my process has always been, you know, most people aren't going to like to hear what I have to say about this, to be honest, because my process is to move towards the things that you don't like and to move away from the things that you do like, right? To stop chasing after what I want and to start going towards everything that I, you know, that is ego-based. You know what I'm saying? Or should I say, moving away from everything that is ego-based and towards everything that is difficult for me or hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, the master key is like fasting. We all are attached to food, right? But if you can conquer that, just the most basic, subtle parts of yourself, you know what I'm saying? The hardest things, if you do the hard things, everything else becomes easy. You know what I'm saying? If you stop doing the things that you love, the things that you love become even better when you do them. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you have some kind of favorite foods, or since we're talking about the fasting thing, you have some kind of favorite food that you eat all the time. It's this, that, and the other, right? And, you know, maybe something very plain, healthy style food, right? That doesn't really taste that good. One second, I gotta close it. Can I get help with the window closed, please? You know, but then one day, a year later, you decide to go taste that thing that you loved for so long, right? And that can be like a completely like different type of experience than if you do it every day, right? Just like if you've been fasting for, you've been fasting for days, you haven't had any food, right? Suddenly things that are very plain taste delicious. You know what I mean? You might eat just a plain bowl of beans with some salt in it, and suddenly it's so good. You know what I mean? So it's just, depression is a construct that you created around desire because you want something that you don't have. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be necessarily like a physical thing. You could simply just be wanting to not be depressed. You could be wanting to feel a certain way. But the fact that you want it is you confirming to yourself that you don't have it. You see what I'm saying? So, one second. Gotta get some charging action going. Uh-oh. 1 second, guys. Got a small little... Sorry, guys. I'm having a technical difficulty here. My charger is not charging. I'm gonna have to go inside. I don't want to leave my golden retriever. Is this thing? Bear with me, you guys. I'm troubleshooting here. I might have to go inside. Okay, we gotta go inside. All right. Sorry, Papa. Get back. Sam, no. Dude. He's scratching the door. Yeah, Sam, stop it. Sam, come here. Fuck. Stay. All right, guys, I'm relocating here. That works. Sorry for the distraction. We're fixing this. We're getting it together. I'm a little rusty on the stream thing, but it's all right. Let's see. Does that charge now? There we go. All right, we got some charging action. Okay, so, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure none of that helps if you're feeling depressed. I know, like, you probably have already considered most of that, but the truth is if you are experiencing desire, or you're experiencing that you don't have enough, or there's something that you are missing in life, do the opposite of what's logical. Instead of trying to get those things, or trying to change those things, or trying to not be depressed, just destroy yourself in every way possible. And I don't mean like hurt yourself actually, but start doing things that you know that are good for you, that you don't like to do. Stop doing all the things that you do like to do, so that someday you can come back to them and appreciate them more. Because if you're in a state of depression, then you're not appreciating what you do have. A good example is like health. Okay? There's a good saying, right? That the man who is healthy has many problems, right? But the man who is unhealthy has only one problem, right? So if you're depressed, you're focusing on the many problems. You're creating problems, right? But you have the most important thing if you're healthy. Now, if you're unhealthy, you only have one problem. You only have one thing to worry about. And this is, you know, potentially a, you know, not something everyone can control, but by releasing attachment to things, even attachment to life, it doesn't mean that you should seek your own doom, but you should accept accept the fact that you will continue beyond this body, you know. And if you accept that, suddenly, you know, your worries about whatever is happening with your health can go away. Now, if you have any other problem in life that's not health, you like rethink what you think is important in life. You know what I'm saying? And so depression, it's just a construct. Like go work out, fast, do the hard things. You know what I'm saying? Spend some time in silence, spend time in nature, start noticing the good things around you. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, get off fucking social media. You know what I mean? Stop thinking that success or happiness or whatever it is that's bothering you comes from the things that society tells you are important. It's creating a sense of lack in you, right? And when you have the reason why they create this sense of lack in you is so that you work. You know what I'm saying? Because the world is, you know, the people controlling the world want you working for preferably fiat currency that has no backing, and that they control the supply, they control everything about it, they can just print out numbers on screens and things. So without actually knowing what is depressing you, I can't really offer better advice than that. But in general, it's always desire. It's always you wanting something that you don't have. You know what I'm saying? As a generality. If it's health, still fasting, you know what I'm saying? Factory reset. Health, the mind and the body are tightly bound together, you know what I'm saying? So if you have an unhealthy mindset, like that you're depressed or something, your body's gonna follow, you know. So just remember the law of opposites. Nothing is what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? If you're constantly striving for something, even if you get it, you will still want more. You're not going to be content just because you suddenly achieve your goal. You will just create more goals and more shit that you want. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just do everything the opposite. Try to like embrace simplicity. Try to be a humble person. Realize that the man who knows that he has enough has everything that he needs. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You could have more than everyone else around you, but if you still want more than that, guess what? You're not going to be satisfied. You're just going to be another slave working for someone else. You know what I mean? And this is true of even the most, you know, high up people that are doing stuff in this world. So, guys, I'm getting warmed up a little bit now, so we're going to start having a good stream. Let me see. Trying to fix this shadow. It's making me look like I got a black eye. Let's see. I'm going back to the chat. Thank you, Noi, for modding. MC Hammerpants says, what's the difference between virtue and morally good? Well, virtue, morally, let me start with morally good is an opinion. You know what I'm saying? What is morally good to you is not good to someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like one person, you know, it's like the saying of, You know, to a plant, you know, the grazing animals are the terrorists or whatever, and the carnivore, the, you know, the wolves and the lions and whatnot are the heroes. You know what I'm saying? So morally good is an opinion. You know what I'm saying? Based upon your perception. The scope of perception is something that few people understand. And the people that do understand tend to want to ignore it because they're acting in like a selfish way, right? Versus virtue is something that doesn't require, you know, an action to embody. Do you know what I'm saying? Most virtues require you to lose something rather than to add something. You know what I'm saying? Moral, or something that is morally whatever, is tends to be an opinion-based thing. You know what I'm saying? Like what is moral to one person is immoral to another person based upon their opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just it's easily simplified with the, you know, the 7 godly virtues and the 7 deadly sins. It doesn't really have to be more complicated than that. Now, you might look at those things and say, well, that doesn't sound fun. Like, who wants to be humble? What good is humility? You know what I'm saying? But when you see it in action, when you realize the law of opposites, the laws of attraction, the, you know, the basic subtle laws of the universe, and you actually embody them, put them to work, you eventually realize the truth of it. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to memorize a 1,000 scriptures and all this different stuff. You just need to embody something that is pure. And, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be intellectual, you keep learning and you learn and you learn and you learn, but you never learn everything, right? And a partial truth is no better than a lie, right? It's just like a clever lie, right? But if you want to be wise, you remove, you let everything go, you understand your own limitations, you understand the limitations of intellect, you understand the limitations of intelligence, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Like your intuitive mind is basically like a quantum computer, right? But your logical mind is like a regular computer, like a regular supercomputer, right? This is why, you know, your intellectual mind or your, you know what I'm saying, your logical mind works in like a linear fashion, just like a computer does, right? Boom. But your intuition, it feeds you emotion, right? It gives you feelings because it doesn't work in a linear fashion. It works like a spider web. It calculating all things that ever could be all at once, right? But it can't put that into words unless you merge the masculine and the feminine, right? When you learn to turn that intellectual, intelligent side of yourself onto yourself, you start thinking about your own self, your own mind, your own emotions, your own stuff. Now all of a sudden you're using that for what it's supposed to be used for, right? You're using it to enhance, to work just like a quantum computer. You know, a quantum computer spits out this huge data set super fast, but you use a regular computer to go and analyze the patterns and so on and so forth of, and actually make something out of that data, right? So, you know, you need to operate yourself like that. But the world, the people, you know, there's people that understand all this stuff. They don't want a bunch of wise, virtuous people, because wise, virtuous people aren't running around striving for fucking little paper slave tickets. They want to keep everyone working. You know what I'm saying? They don't want people at peace. They want to subjugate people. You can't subjugate someone who doesn't want anything. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it just, less is more. Like, stop thinking about what you can add on to your life or what you can learn or what you can do and all that, and start thinking about what you can do without, what you can take away from your life, what you can eliminate from your life, not just your life, but from yourself, from your personality. You know what I'm saying? Because your personality is an ego. There's no aspect of your personality which is not ego, right? Like you're the highest form of you is the original you that was born before you could even think. You know what I'm saying? Like God's plan is better than your plan. You know what I mean? God's design is better than yours design. You know what I'm saying? So you thinking that you can somehow do better than that, it's just an ego thing. And that's what causes desire. That's what causes suffering. That what causes attachment. You just let everything go. Just let everything flow. Everything will be as it's supposed to be. You know, and as soon as you do that, you're liberated. You'll stop being fearful. You'll stop being depressed. You'll stop be wanting more. And you will accept that you already have everything. And then more will come to you. And you will pick and choose that which is right for you. You know what I'm saying? Chad says, is there objective morality? If so, what makes something moral or immoral? Moral or immoral has no place in what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Moral or immoral is an opinion. Just like good and evil is an opinion. One cannot exist without the other. It's all just contrast. As soon as moral or unmoral become the focus of something, as soon as good and evil becomes the focus of something, it just lends power to the other. We all want to think that we can do right or make things better or whatever, but the truth is you can't do better than what most people refer to as God. All right? For me, you can't, what I think of as God is something beyond words. I don't like to use words for that because it's incomprehensible. It's something that has to be experienced. But you can't experience it if you're trying to define it because it's undefinable. Do you know what I'm saying? If karma is real, then there must be objective morality. No, because karma is action. Your morality doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome is going to be aligned with what you consider moral. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in shaping the world because you operate on what your opinion was of morality. Somebody else who has a different opinion of morality is going to push back at that. And that pushback may or may not be stronger than your initial force. And so you just get into this big push back and forth thing, right? And what happens? Right? It's contention. So nothing good comes of that. You know, you achieve virtue through non-doing. You know what I'm saying? Stop doing shit. Stop thinking that your way is somehow better than someone else's way. You know what I mean? Just do less. Stop doing shit. Like, stop talking. You know what I'm saying? Stop listening to YouTube. Stop listening to people's opinions. Stop believing in shit. Like, ask yourself, what do you know to be true? If you know something to be true, if you're saying something right now to me, you're contending with me, right? But why do you even need to speak if you know you're right? Is it just for the sake of seeing your words on your speak? Are you entertaining yourself? Or you think you're gonna like sway me and make me think differently? Like, what's the point? There's none. You have an opinion. Your opinion is based upon your perception. Your perception is based upon your experiences. Your experiences are your experiences. They're no one else's experiences other than yours. No one else is going to understand that. You know what I'm saying? You don't even understand that. You know what I'm saying? You can ask everything that you're going to ask to me, you can ask to yourself. This is all just hypocrisy, right? Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm in the chat. I'm looking for a question. Somebody says, was your name ever Bruce Ventura with the A, or is that a Mandela effect? That's, I think, some kind of subliminal thing people have created from Jim Carrey. This is my theory on the Bruce Ventura thing. It's because of Bruce Almighty and Ace Ventura. And people hear Bruce Ventura and they're Bruce Venture, and they automatically think Ventura because they somehow associate this thing with Jim Carrey. I don't know why. So Mr. Pushup says, you mean I have to experience the life of someone who likes Twizzlers? I can't. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You will have to experience that if you ever achieve liberation. Let's see. So no one says you're a literal hedonist and now you're preaching the Tao. I thought, why does that surprise you at all? I don't understand where the I don't know. That was perceptive. That was very perceptive. I am preaching the Tao in some way, but I don't know that my hedonism is in any kind of contention with the Tao, to be honest. Swag says, so you left the adult industry to become a spiritual person. Well, no, I left the adult industry to retain my semen because I wanted to experience what that was like and see if it had any effect, which it did. And so, yeah, but you know, it's, you know, expansion and contraction, right? I just contracted for a while. That's all. Now I have a different view on things. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally consider myself to be somewhat hypocritical to even be on here doing what I'm doing. But nonetheless, I feel compelled to do it because I started doing it at a time when I had a lesser understanding of what I was even doing. And so now I feel that I am attempting to create some type of balance. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we're just going to see where it goes. That's it. I'm trying to correct my wrongs by coming on here. T-Space says, live life until you're transcripted to fight a war. Well, you know, everything is a choice. Even, you know what I'm saying? Even if you think that you're being forced to do something, you can choose not to. You just can't choose to avoid the consequences. You know what I'm saying? The consequences find you. But, you know, if ever you shall be judged, trust me, saying someone else told me to is not going to be a valid excuse, because you're going to judge yourself in the end. And so, what do you tell yourself in that case? You would tell yourself whatever you would tell yourself. I can't tell you what you would tell yourself. Raphael says, you have no idea how grateful I am for these streams. Thank you for almost 2 years of extreme wisdom. You're very welcome, Raphael. Thank you for thanking me. Your neighbors sprayed Monsanto so you don't get butterflies. That's sad. That is kind of what we're talking about, though. Nothing that you know what I'm saying? He probably thought he was getting rid of cockroaches or something. And now you don't have butterflies. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, the path to hell is paved in good intentions. I'm sure your neighbor didn't think that he was going to disrupt the ecosystem, but yet he did. You know, it's a great example, in fact. No, the dog was actually just a random dog. I have no clue whose dog that was, to be honest. Treg Jadea says, we talk on Instabrews, but I asked this question because your path changed my point of view, and I'm trying your best to be on as a spiritual path. Well, I'm glad that it could hopefully positively affect you. I mean, I guess all is well that ends well. We'll see how it works out in the end, but you know, in my personal view, less is always more. You know, whatever is meant for you will find you. You know, whatever you're meant to have, you will have. And, you know, the less you think that you know, the more open you become to receiving truth. You know what I'm saying? As long as you believe things, you don't know yourself. And you have to make room, you know what I'm saying? You gotta make room for the truth. Chaz, what's your definition of mental illness? Definition of mental illness. Definition of mental illness. That's a good question. I don't know if I got time to think about that. That's a really good question. What is the definition of mental illness? I think I could probably meditate on that for a while. I think definition of mental illness would be, you know, we are what we repeat, right? And so if you're stuck into a cycle where you're repeating something that has a negative outcome, either for you or other people, and you can't break that cycle, I would consider that mental illness, right? You could probably expand on that more, but, you know, in reality, like, we are what we repeat, right? Any given moment, you can be a completely different person. Just off, it doesn't take anything to happen other than a decision. You know what I'm saying? You just say, this ends now. This begins now, right? And from that forward, if that is truth, everything is different. Everything changes at that moment, right? It's only when we repeat something that becomes who we truly are, what we are. It defines us. We're defined by our repetition, right? And so if we're repeating something that is harmful, then I would consider that mental illness. Taylor and the Zora Bloodhound says, you were making sense, man. Keep going. I don't remember what I was, I don't know what I was saying at the time because I'm like trying to catch up on the chat. But hopefully I did keep going, and that's what happened. Maya, good to see you. It's been a long time. I don't know who just donated, but thank you for the donation. I'm sure I will get down to the chat and thank you again. By the way, you guys, We are going to move to a membership basis at some point. Membership's only $1 a month. It kind of helps me filter out the trolls when we're having a more serious topic. They do drive a lot of traffic. So right now, while I'm fixing my algorithm over the course of the next week, it is going to be open chat. But at some point, and especially if I have something extra special that I want to talk about, like personally, some type of realization that I want to share, that will be a members only thing. So there are also there was a recent video which many people found to be of substance, which is currently members only. And it's also it's something that I also do if I accidentally get carried away in what I'm saying and it becomes very controversial or something like that. I put it behind the members paywall as well to stop it from getting flagged. Have I ever been depressed for a long time? I mean, I guess, yeah, I had like a depression when I was like, you know, incarcerated, I guess, at some point. But that depression went away basically right as soon as when I was like a long time ago, I was fighting a case. And I was denied bail or whatever, so I didn't know what the outcome of the case was going to be. And, the not knowing aspect of that did kind of drive me to a depression for a while. But strangely enough, as soon as I realized that it would eventually come to an end, I found happiness even in an extremely negative and violent environment, right? So there is a lesson there as well of the the desire to know something even can also bring suffering, right? But the realization that all things come to an end, even this life, right? This physical body comes to an end. There's no real reason to be depressed, right? You just enjoy it as much as you can. Like, watch the show. Become an observer. Stop trying to put your fingers and shit and everything. Just see what happens. It's it's a gift to be able to experience all this. Welcome everyone that got here. You guys, I'm not skipping over. I am skipping over greetings today. And I'm also not doing the small talk, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I love you all very much. Even the trolls are very welcome. You guys are helping drive traffic, and you are appreciated. And I do hope that you remember something that I said someday, that whenever you see something which your mind can't, rationalize, Someone said, you make yourself depressed by your own thoughts. And that's true. Everything is in your mind. Like I said, unless your physical body is failing you, everything's in your head, right? And even your physical body's not going to last forever. So instead of, thinking that you're going to somehow stress yourself out into health or, you know, worry your way into a better position. You just accept everything, you know, accept fate as it's going to be whatever it's going to be. Because the reality is you have virtually no real control over it. You know what I mean? Even if you get what you want or your desire you're going after, you know, if you're a wise person, you realize that that could actually be much less or much worse than you getting something completely else that you had no comprehension about, right? So it's like, one time I wished for something, right? And it fell on the ground right in front of me. And the first thing that my mind thought of after that was of what a shitty wish that was. That I could have wished for something so much better. Do you know what I'm saying? But that was the lesson of that thing, is that I wished for something, my wish was granted, and immediately my mind went, wow, I could have had a better wish. You know what I'm saying? So that's true in all things. You know what I mean? Even your opinions, your wants, your needs, your desires, and all that could be massively understated. You know what I mean? Like, you could be destined for more, and yet you going after and obtaining what you actually wanted was the reason why you didn't get it. You see what I'm saying? But if you clear yourself of all expectations and just appreciate anything and everything that comes to you, even hardship, if you realize that that's making you stronger, if you actually take the lessons from it instead of just using it as a reason to be depressed, then it becomes valuable. It could be the most valuable thing that ever happened. These things that you're talking about, that whatever you're depressed about. You know what I mean? Like, everything is a sage if you allow it to be a sage for you, if you're paying attention. You know what I mean? So, you know, there is that. We are Charlie Kirk says, it doesn't matter about your health, wellness, or anything. It's all about your mindset. You are not the words inside your brain. You're the silence in between your thoughts, and the brain is a tool, not you. Yes, exactly. That is well said. Well said. Kenny Field says, yeah, God will fulfill you, and he will gift you with the tools you need to succeed. Exactly. But if you allow your ego to interfere with that, then you know what I'm saying, it's highly likely that those tools you need to succeed and that he'll fulfill for you will be hard lessons. You see what I'm saying? If you approach everything with gratitude, you know what I mean? What do you need to learn at that point? If you are thankful for everything, even the bad things that happen to you, what lessons do you need? Right? If you're thankful for even the bad things, if you're thankful for everything that you don't have, if you're thankful for everything that didn't happen, instead of harping on everything that did, you know what I'm saying? Remember, it can always fucking be worse. It can always be worse, no matter what you're depressed about, no matter what your situation is, no matter what you're lacking, it can be worse. It can be so much fucking worse. You have most people, especially if you have a fucking phone and an internet connection right now and you have time to fucking sit here and listen to me fucking ramble on and some hypocrisy fucking on a phone where billionaires are just gonna fucking manipulate my words and whatever to incite people that for whatever selfish means that they have, right? If you have the ability to do all that, then you probably have absolutely no concept of the level of horrors and suffering, true suffering, that how bad things could actually fucking be for you, for everybody, this whole planet, this civilization that's fucking crumbling, that's going in this fucking downward spiral. You know what I mean? If you're really, truly worrying about that, then you have no concept of how much worse it could actually be. And so even when something bad happens, You can always have gratitude, even no matter how bad it is, because it could have been worse. So be thankful, not just for whatever happens, but be thankful for everything that doesn't happen. And if you approach everything with gratitude, then the lessons, that which creates lessons for us, delivers, are lessons of goodness, of lessons of abundance, lessons of things, you know, that it doesn't have to break you down. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you take the low point, the universe will conspire to raise you up, right? And if you try to trot over people and, you know what I'm saying, dominate everything, the universe will conspire to crush you. And this is reality. This is a fundamental law of the universe. It's how it works. In the chat, Charlie Kirk says to Julian, when you are depressed, start thinking about better thoughts, change your thought pattern. Don't pity yourself. Look at the brighter side. You are alive. You are able to walk. How many people can? Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying as well. In different words. Someone said, he said, no man will ever think he has enough. You have to stop thinking about having stuff. You have to stop thinking about having stuff. You can't take it with you. Exactly. Create, cultivate things which nobody can take from you. Okay? And that's very few things. It's all about, experience. Work on your soul. Stop worrying about stuff. In a blink of an eye, this whole world could fucking dissolve into a nightmare that's completely unimaginable. For some people, it already has. There are places in this world that are truly hell on earth. If you're not in one of those places, which you're probably not if you're here right now, you have so many reasons to have gratitude. You have so many reasons to be humble. Let's see what it says. So, let's see. ProX says, any new projects, group meditations, or the book you wanted to publish? I've been writing a lot of poetry lately. One thing that like these streams have taught me is how profoundly difficult it is to perfect your speech, right? It's nearly impossible. The only perfect expression is silence, right? But if you must speak, because for whatever reason, I don't know why you must, but if you are going to speak, it is certainly a virtue to try to perfect that speech, right? And I find that the only way to truly perfect speech is through poetry, right? Because perfected speech is something that has to be adaptogenic. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Perfected speech has to be able to mean something to each person differently. It can't be because people see things through their own scope of perception. They understand things through their own experiences, right? And so what is truth to one person is, you know what I'm saying, hypocrisy to another. What is right in one person's experiences is wrong in another's, right? So through poetry, we can say things in ways that adapt to different people's perceptions. And if you can somehow create something which means something to everybody, right, that has some kind of that brings on some type of realization, no matter what level of trauma or wounding or, you know, that a person contains, right? That's the only way to perfect speech. It has to, everything has to adapt to the reader or the listener, so on and so forth, right? And, you know, this is a big problem in society, is that, you know, nobody accounts for other people's perception, for other people's experiences. They don't even try to see things from another point of view, you know. And even if they did try, they would fail. So, you know, what's the point of trying in that case either, right? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just really sitting on here like talking myself out of doing what I'm doing right now. But that's okay. I'm doing it anyways. Let's see. Julian Forrest says, Bruce, what advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time? What advice would I give myself if I could go back in time? Well, I would give myself the advice of this. I would say, Bruce, the reality is that you only remember a small fraction of everything that happened in your life, and of those things that you do remember, not all of it is accurate, nor does it include the perception of other people who experience the same things. More so, I would say, Bruce, as much as you want to plan for the future, the only way that you could ever truly predict something with any kind of accuracy is if you were trapped in some type of a loop that created an artificial situation where things became incredibly predictable, and that is in essence slavery. So I would ultimately just tell myself to stay present as an observer and enjoy every moment as if it will be your last, and to remember that you don't need to go back in time, you know, to live with a new, to use what you've learned. You know what I'm saying? So the reason why I would say that is because the truth is why do we all want to go back in time, right? And why does that question come up? Because we always think, oh, if I could go back in time, I'd do this differently. Because I know something now which I didn't used to know, and which I didn't know before, right? But the truth is that you can do that right now. Time is an illusion. You know, you think everyone's got this concept that they're running out of time. But the reason why they're running out of time is because that's what they think. That's their reality. That's the reality that they've created. You know, but in reality, you can use everything that you know what I'm saying? Like what? I'm about to be 40. What am I going to do? I'm going to go back in time 25 years, 30 years or something. How far back do I want to go to use what I've learned now to try to manipulate time and think that I'm somehow going to be correct? That somehow something that I could know now, that I could go back and do it differently and predict a different outcome. I'm happy with my outcome right now. I'm happy in life. Why would I want to change anything? But at the same token, what, I go back 15 years and change everything? I go back 20 years and change everything? Well, right now, I mean, there's most likely I probably got, I mean, who knows? I could be, tomorrow's not promised. But if I can assume that I'm going to be around for another 15 years, 20 years, 100 years, whatever, then I can just start living like that right now. I can use what I've learned right now. And what I've learned is that you can't predict the future. What I've learned is that you can't really remember the past. You have a bunch of core memories that you chose as the things that were important, that you took as your life. In reality, you don't remember 95% of anything that ever happened. How many days at your job that you went to do you even remember? My job was having sex on camera with beautiful women. Do I fucking remember any of that? Very little. You know what I'm saying? I remember a handful of experiences that somehow stood out to me. Aside from that, I don't remember shit. So why would I allow that to form myself or my viewpoints? I'm not even taking into consideration the whole. It's better for me just to use my senses, my 5 senses, and see what's around me and what's going on around me, and react and be reactive to my physical present situation instead of harping on the past or somehow thinking that I'm going to predict the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're never right about the future. Even if you're kind of right, you're only right on a microcosmic scale. Like, you're not really taking into consideration the whole, right? Anyone can be right or wrong or whatever if you fucking want to live in the illusion of time. Right? You can say, oh, society is declining right now, right? Things are all going bad right now, right? Well, how long does a human even live? 100 years? You can fucking put a time span on anything. It's like gambling, right? The casino always wins, right? The house always wins. Well, yeah, over the course of an eternity, the house always wins. Because mathematically, that's what happens. Just like over the course of infinity, this planet is gonna fucking perish. It's gonna eventually be gone. So we know it goes to 0 at some point, right? But if you put any kind of time span on anything, you can say, oh, during this, oh, take this little segment. This was a good segment. It's going up. Everything is good. It was peaceful. Things are nice. Oh, okay, let's do this segment. Everything's fucking declining. Whatever. But if you take in the consideration of the whole, it started as nothing and it ends as nothing. So what the fuck is the point of worrying about anything other than this moment right now? Right now, I'm talking to you people. You're looking at me. We're talking about stuff. My opinion maybe matters something to you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're just one of the people that are in here looking at my unibrow or worrying about my hair. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're another person that's finding some kind of profound wisdom and just cured your depression, because suddenly you realize that everything that you're depressed about doesn't fucking matter, or even fucking exists for that matter. That you're going to end up with absolutely less than what you even have right now. In the end, you'll have nothing. You started with nothing, you end with nothing. What are you really fucking depressed about? You know what I'm saying? Even if you're sick and in pain or whatever, you're presumably, if you're unhealthy, your life is going to be shorter. So you're getting closer to being free from whatever pain you're in as well. There's literally nothing to fucking think about. There's nothing to worry about. You just fucking wipe it all free. And you never know. You might end up having some type of fucking profound experience that will make it all suddenly make sense. You know what I mean? But you have to be paying attention. Not paying attention to all the shit that everybody's throwing in your face and trying to distract you with to keep you working and whatever else. But paying attention to the beauty, having gratitude for everything as it is. Looking at nature and realizing the absolute chaos of it and that it works perfectly. All things are accomplished without any effort at all. Does it have any concept of time? You know what I'm saying? The seasons come, the seasons go. All things are provided. You know? Sorry guys, I'm back to the chat. I'm trying to find. Thank you, Adele. I'm glad you found the advice to be valuable. What is the subject of the discussion? The subject is, it's just open Q&A. This is your guys' rodeo. So far, it's been a lot of stuff about depression and virtue and morals and other things that arise from the ego. But it can be whatever you want. I mean, assuming that it's something that I can actually comment on that possibly might be interesting, that's not extremely repetitive over the course of the last 150 hours of streaming that we put on here. But if you bring forth some type of philosophical, thought-inspiring question, which I can comment on, I'm pretty much willing to talk about anything. Am I a pirate? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm certainly into the booty. Sorry, it's dad, stupid dad joke. I'm not a dad. Don't get it. Don't. Thank you, Arnav, for coming. Raphael said, "Did you learn any spiritual lessons from the show Breaking Bad?" Yeah, I mean, I used a analogy in the stream that's currently behind the members only paywall. Okay, from Breaking Bad, and you know, it has to do with purification, right? Or it's a, you know, there's something, you know, people refer to as spiritual alchemy, right? The turning of lead into gold, right? And a lot of this has to do with, like, a lot of people, you know, seek spiritual lessons and experiences and things using drugs, right? Like DMT is a big one, ayahuasca, mushrooms, things like that. But the reality is, you know, even marijuana, whatever. But your body has receptors for these substances because your body can actually make these substances yourself. Not only can your body make these substances yourself, but it does a better job, right? And it makes a large amount of these things if you learn to do it, right? But you can't learn to create this chemistry inside your body without spiritual intuition, and you can't gain any, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the analogy that I used before was that, you know, what's the first thing that Walt, you know, teaches Jesse, or the first thing that Jesse does when he gets down to go work for the Mexicans? Whatever, they clean the equipment. And so this is where, you know, purification, fasting, so on and so forth comes into play, because you're not going to create the most amazing substances and experiences that your very, very advanced body is able to do, that's better than any kind of scientist or any kind of lab or any kind of thing on the planet, if the machinery is not clean, if you know what I'm saying, like, you got to clean yourself first. You have to get everything out of your system that can interfere with your system. You know what I'm saying? Everything in your body is just like everything else in life. It's the law of opposites. You know, like people on steroids, they put a bunch of fucking steroids and testosterone in their body, and what's their body do? It stops producing its own testosterone, right? So the net result is negative, right? It's the same with everything else. You put stuff into your body won't produce those things. You know what I mean? This is like, they put fucking artificial vitamin D and bullshit in all the fucking milk here. Well, now your body doesn't want to produce vitamin D from the sun. It's everything is opposites. Everyone, you know, especially in the Western world, people seem to think that they all want a magic pill for something. They all want an easy way to get something, right? They all think that, oh, I got to add something in. I'm lacking. Either something I'm missing, something I don't have. I need more of something to make something else happen. But that's not how it works. You know, everything that you need is inside you already, right? We are all suffering from abundance. We all have too much of everything. It's all about what you can take away. If you can start just cutting away at everything from, you know what I'm saying, from your personality all the way down to your material possessions and everything else, what you will find is that the default version is the best. What you have inside you is everything that you need, you know. And if you there's no, and there's, you know, the highest technique is no technique, right? Just remove everything and see what happens. Pay attention to yourself. You know, like and another thing I like to say is, you are what you eat, so consume the self. If you want to know who you really are, stop putting shit inside you. Stop fucking identifying with this ego mind that you created yourself, and identify with the self that your creator made, your creator that's far more advanced than you, your higher self, whatever, however you want to look at it, however you want to quantify it, it doesn't really matter. But there's nothing that you can do that is better than that. Do you know what I'm saying? Welcome, Anna. Thank you for the donation. Sammy will definitely enjoy the rotisserie chicken. I appreciate you. It's good to see you. It's been a long time. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm just skimming through the chat. I just realized that I'm like super far behind on the chat because I just read an answer reply to something I said a long time ago. Chaz says, Bruce, if there's such thing as virtue, there must be a morality. Morality is contextual, but it is real. It doesn't matter what stories we tell. It doesn't, if I don't drink water, I die, no matter what I think. I mean, what makes you think that death is bad? Do you know what I'm saying? To one person can be suffering and wishing for death, trapped in a fucking cell somewhere where they took the shoelaces out of his shoes so that he won't have a way to hang himself. You know what I'm saying? So it's all opinion based. To the other person that fucking You know, they think that they're fucking suffering because they fucking got a fucking fine for their fake money, because a fucking ticket or something. You know what I mean? Like, another person is suffering because they're fucking getting abused in their home situation. Or another person thinks that they're moral because they're shaming somebody that they think is bad. You know what I'm saying? It's all conceptual, right? But the reality is that it's all just words, and words are cheap. Words are not really that great. You know what I'm saying? If you stop talking and just embrace silence, fasting, things like that, you will learn more than anything you could do reading 1,000 books. You will be, if you do nothing and just don't talk, spend time by yourself, think about yourself and nothing else, you will inherently have more virtue than anyone else. You will inherently be more moral than anyone else. So it's all just a debate of words. Words are just something that the ego creates. The ego, why do you have a voice in your head? What is the voice in your head? It's an ego. What's the ego use? The ego uses words. If you want spiritual expansion, you want to know the truth, stop talking. Stop trying to define things. Stop trying to worry about your about vocabulary. There's words that are in one language that don't even exist in another language, right? So it's all just a fucking debate about something that doesn't matter, something that's just an ego-based concept. You're harping on morality. This is your ego harping on morality. Do you know what I'm saying? Virtue doesn't require any of that. Virtue just requires you to exist and be non-harmful and stop fucking with shit. Stop, you know what I'm saying? But it's all just words, you know? Words are the most inefficient form of communication. And it's all, words as well are completely, you know what I'm saying? Like, what one person defines as something, another person defines differently. It's a fucking waste of time. It's a waste of mental energy. Like, do no harm. That's it. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. Simplify everything. Sheila says, the absence of love or experiencing loss can cause episodes of depression. Yeah, but that's if you can love yourself. You don't need anything else to have love. Do you know what I'm saying? If you seek outward sources of things, then you're always setting yourself up for loss. You just see what I'm saying? If you seek everything inward, then what can anyone take from you? What can you lose? What can someone deny you? Do you see what I'm saying? And strangely enough, as soon as you do all that, you'll find abundance in all those things from outward sources as well. Sam, cut it out. Come here. Hey. Maya says, do you do self-talk in dialogue format, talking to your feelings, your current goals in life, etc.? I recently had a conversation with my back pain, and she said it's convenient and an available way of self-manipulation. I mean, I've written myself a letter before, but the thing is that when you self-talk, what you're doing is talking to your ego, right? This is where religion and things come from, is when the ego, you know, when the ego fragments and you end up with the ego and the spiritual ego, then you end up with religion. But this can happen in other ways too, and that can manifest as in other things, even some negative things like schizophrenia and stuff. You know what I'm saying? What's better is to go away from words, to realize that words inherently create karma. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't sure of my own liberation, I wouldn't be on here talking, because I would just be accruing more karma. Do you know what I'm saying? Rocky G says, the day I was released from prison was the happiest day of my life. Depression left in prison when I accepted my incarceration. I went from 2 to 10 year sentences. That's 20 down to 1 10-year sentence. Then I did 5 years on that with my past. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm sure you probably heard this saying then, but you keep your mind on this side of the wall, right? So it's like you're depressed if you're thinking about the outside, if you're thinking about what's going on the streets and this, that, and the other. But even in prison, if you stay present, you realize that even life behind bars is a life, and you make the most of it. You can find happiness even in the deepest, darkest fucking places imaginable. You know what I'm saying? But it all comes with gratitude. It all comes with humility. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like someone, like, for example, in my case, I was looking at a 27 to life sentence, right? I was really happy when I got a 4-year sentence, right? But even though I made my own deal, when they offered me 5 years and I told them 4 years, and then they accepted my offer of 4 years, the first thing I thought of, fuck, I should have said 3 years, right? And so it's all conceptual. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't looking at 27 to life, I would have been pretty upset about 4 years. If I thought I was only going to do 1 year, right? And you got 4 times as much, now I'm sad about it. But if I think that I'm going to be going away for the rest of my life, all of a sudden 4 years seems like a bargain. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about perception. And this is the same thing with everything else. It's like if someone is making $200,000 a year and they lose $100,000 because of something, they're going to be really upset. Someone else is making, you know what I'm saying? $1 million a year, it's not really probably going to hurt them as much. Someone's making $1 billion, it's nothing, it's chump change. So it's the scope of perception, right? Gratitude for all things is the key. He who knows that he has enough will always have enough, right? Sheila says, no, skip, let's see. Like I said, I prayed for God to save me. The next day I was arrested. Best thing that ever happened. Yes, it can be like that. You just get your plan doesn't matter. Okay? And usually if you get your way, if you get what you wanted, there's usually a lesson in that because it's not as good as whatever else it could have been. And even if there's just stop. You know what I mean? Like it's best to just accept everything as it is and be thankful for all things. Listen, you guys, I was only planning on streaming for an hour today. I hope that was a good enough for now, you guys. I didn't make it to the bottom of the chat. I love you guys very much. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm going to be on at 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. I'm trying to do a little streak here to see what happens with the algorithm. It seems like it was fairly generous today. And I appreciate everybody that donated. I also appreciate everybody that didn't donate. And you guys become a member. Because there will be some stuff eventually coming that will not be viewable otherwise. I got to go figure out what's going on with the dog, so on and so forth. But think about your questions. If I didn't get to your question today, you're welcome to come and ask again tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be here at 9 a.m. Much love, everybody. Peace.